Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We are Group 7 from EPP Class D, and today we're going to talk about the syllable in English and English phonotactics. And here we have 5 people, including myself, Febrian Dani, last student number 182.
Hello everyone, my name is Cindy Mauren.
Hello everyone, my name is Safia Manuela Wijaya with last student number 174.
Hello everyone, my name is Ramania Maulidia and the student number is 181.
Hello, I'm Tarisha Pratha and my last student number is 187.
All right, so let's begin.
Definition of syllable. The syllable is a part of a word pronounced with a single uninterrupted sounding. As you can see from this definition, a syllable is part of the pronunciation of a word, and a discussion of a syllable syllables belong this lesson on phonology. We have already seen that some writing systems use symbols that correspond to the syllable instead of to an individual sounds. Even when the syllable is not evident in a writing system, words can be broken into smaller pronunciation units called syllable. Some languages have many multisyllabic words, but other tend to have monosyllabic words. Next.
The syllable structures. The syllable can be structured into these components. Syllable, the symbol means sigma, and then it includes onset, rhyme. Rhyme includes nucleus and coda. Next. Nucleus is the name for the most sonorous part of syllable. Nucleus will be the vowel produced with an unobstructed vocal tract. Coda, the segments after the nucleus. And the last one is onset, the segments that come before the nucleus. The nucleus and coda together form a unit that we call the rhyme. And linguists like to use the Greek letter sigma to label the entire syllable. Next. For example, we have word cat. The first thing you need to do is change this word into a phonemic transcription, which is K-A-E-T. K is the onset, A-E is the nucleus, and T is coda. And then pat, P-A-A-T. P is the onset, A-E is the nucleus, and T is coda. Next. Syllable, the onset is obligatory. The onset is not obligatory, but the nucleus is obligatory. And also coda is not obligatory. For example, in words it, you need to change to phonemic transcription, IT, and then the I is nucleus, T is coda. So there is no onset in it. And then T, T-E. The T is onset, E is nucleus, so there is no coda. Onset two vowels are, we can call it diphthong, and two coda. For example, cook, K-U-K-T. K is the onset, U is the nucleus, K and T is the coda. Next.
The typology of syllable. The syllables falls on 4 types. They are on onset, open syllables, on a coda, closed syllable, nucleus, coda vowel, vowel consonant, and N, nucleus vowel. An open syllable ends with a vowel that usually has a long sound. Then a closed syllable has a short vowel ending in a consonant. The vowel sounds in a VC or vowel consonant words are considered closed or short vowels. All vowels have at least 2 pronunciations. a long sound and a short sound. For example, onset, open syllables, low. On coda, closed syllable, long. Nucleus coda, vowel consonant, owl. And nucleus, vowel, o. Next. Each type of syllable has a different degree of complexity as following. Onset, open syllable is the simplest, not subject to any particular operation. On coda, closed syllable and nucleus vowel have the intermediate complexity, each being derived by means of one rule. Nucleus coda, vowel consonant, is the most complex, requiring application of both rules. Association between syllable complexity and various linguistic properties in a diversified sample of 100 language representing 4 degrees of syllable or phonetic complexity. Simple, moderately complex, and complex as defined by Madison 2006. Next. Basic syllable typology. The nucleus is essential to the syllable. Onset and codas are optional, so the basic syllable types are onset, on coda, nucleus coda, and nucleus. The core syllable template can undergo a number of changes. Next. Onset, open syllables can undergo 2 minimal changes by shading the onset, rule A, or taking on a coda, rule B, or both rules. First one is by shading the onset. Onset and nucleus as a syllables, and then consonant vowels to the vowels, it's called segmental level, and then consonant to the vowel is a rule A. Number 2, by taking on a coda. Onset as on coda, it's a syllable, and then consonant vowel is closed syllable, segmental level, and then delaying as a coda or vowel, rule B. Number 3, by shading the onset and taking on a coda. Consonant to the vowel, rule A, and then delaying as consonant or vowel, rule B. And then the application is onset, nucleus coda, or vowel consonant as a syllable. Next. Okay, complexity, the core syllable, the closed syllable, open syllable is the simplest, no operation. And then the vowel consonant is the most complex, both operation, deletion, and insertion. The vowel and closed syllable have intermediate complexity, and operation is deletion or insertion. Next.
Okay, the next is the syllable and sonority. Segment holds different degrees of sonority. Sonority essentially correlates with amount of sound. The sonority of the sound is relative loudness compared to other sound. The profile of syllable is subject to sonority sequencing. Sonority sequencing is a principle that sonority climbs up until its peak and then climbs down. And the first of sonority is sonority profile of speech. And in sonority profile of speech, the vowel is more sonorous than a consonant. So it carries a greater distance than a consonant. And this is the reason why the segmental structure of the core syllable and why the vowel should occupy the syllable nucleus and the consonant occupy the syllable onset. The second is sonority scale. And this is a universal ranking of segment classes on the basic sonority from the most sonorous until the least sonorous. The first one is non-high vowel. The example is A in word father, and the second is high vowel. The example is I in word machine, and the third is liquid. And the example is R in ring or L in log. And then nasal, the example is N in word sing. Fricative, the example is T in thick and T in there. And then the last one is top. The example is P in pat and K in kid. The last one is sonority distance. And minimal sonority distance parameter refers to the requirement of a certain minimum of sonority difference between the segment of complex syllabic constituent and the minimal sonority distance between two elements of an English complex onset in two or English onset phonetics.
All right, moving on to the next one is phonotactics. So what is phonotactics? Phonotactics is the study of phoneme patterns in a language and the sound that they form. This is usually called syllables, right? So how we do it in phonotactics is that first we must symbolize the consonants and the vowel sounds in a word. The phoneme, we have to symbolize those with C for consonant and V for vowel. And then we use the dot as a separator for each syllable because that's the IPA symbol for separator in a syllable. Yeah, so that's basically it. Phonotactics is the field of science determining where to put the dot and define the syllable. Next slide, please. Now there are a lot of and now there are some methods where on how to put this dot and how to separate the syllables, but they must follow this one principle, the maximal onset principle, which says that consonants in between vowels are assigned to the following syllable instead of the preceding syllable. So for example, you can see on the screen that leaving is syllabified live-in rather than live-in. If the syllable results in a cluster that is not allowed in English when using this principle, it is syllabified, it is adjusted accordingly. For example, extra, when using this principle, it's going to be syllabified extra, and the onset of that second syllable will be kstr, a cluster which is invalid in English. So the division of extra is therefore the correct one. However, Wells in 1990 argued that consonants should be syllabified with the preceding vowel rather than the following if the preceding vowel is the nucleus of a more salient syllable, with a bias to stressed syllables, stressed sounds deemed being the most salient, and reduced syllables being the least salient. There's also one additional rule to what is the maximum of sounds a syllable can have, which is included in the top left. You can see that C3, phi, and C5. Which means that there are a maximum of 3 consonants in the front, 1 vowel in the middle, and then 5 consonants in the end. And the example of this is strengths, which you can see there are 3 consonants behind the E and then 4 consonants in front of the E. And moving on. Right, so these are the examples of constraints, and these are what are the prohibitions for where you can put the syllables. And you can see that there are a lot of constraints, and I'm not going to explain them one by one. I'm only going to explain the most important ones. For example, is that all syllables must have a nucleus and there should be no geminate consonants in those syllables. And the next one is the first consonant in the complex onset must be an obstruent. And combinations such as tat or a coup with a sonoran is not allowed. And the other important one is the last one. Two obstruents in the same coda must share voicing, which is like the example says, kids and kits. And that's about it for our presentation, I think. And you can move on to the next slide. Yeah, and you can post your questions in the forum. Thank you all for your kindness, for paying attention to us, and we'll see you next time.